Hello, welcome to Web of Stories. My name is Melinda. It is Tuesday, which means it's Tag Tuesday. And it is some Tuesday in April. I'm not sure which one because I am batch filming. But this week I am doing the This or That, a book tag for People April, which is created by Elizabeth at Bookins and Books, who is one of the hosts of People April. And the other host is Roz at Scaladandaling about the book, which is a hard channel for me to say for some reason. Anyway, I wasn't directly tagged, but I got to do this tag. This is a great tag. Because I do love memoirs and biographies. If you don't know, People April is an event in April, where we read nonfiction about people, biographies, memoirs, but not necessarily. Could be collections of letters, things like that. And this is the second year they've done it. And yeah, so check it out. So let me get into this tag. There are 10 questions plus a bonus question. The first question, and I should preface this by saying that Elizabeth explained in hers that in some of these questions you can swap out biography for memoir, which is important because I actually prefer memoir to biography. So, okay, question 1. Big, fat, and detailed biographies or short and succinct biographies? So here's the deal. If it's a biography, I want a big fat one because I would expect a biography to be the entirety of someone's life. If it's a memoir, I want a shorter, succinct one because I want it to be reflections on a part of their life, if that makes any sense. Obviously, if you're writing a memoir, you cannot write the entirety of your life because then you'd have to write it when you are dead. So that's where I am. Now, there are memoirs that are just too long, Parks and yeah, I'm not, no. But I do think that for biographies, depending on the subject, you do need to do it justice and go there and go in depth on it. Question 2, celebrity memoirs or average Joe memoirs? Now, I am going to say average Joe because I believe that memoirs should be written for a reason. And lots of times with celebrity, famous in any field, lots of times they are not writing it for a reason. Let me give you some examples. So one of my favorite celebrity memoirs is No Land's Man by Asif Manvi, which is a collection, really it's a collection of essays, and there are some fantastic essays on it, but it all kind of focuses on, he was born in India, grew up in Bradford, England, and then his family moved to South Florida. So he never felt like he belonged anywhere. And so he had a reason to tell this, and he did it in a very funny and engaging way. Trevor Noah's same, funny and engaging, but he's talking about he was born a crime. Literally, it was illegal for him to be born. He has a reason to tell this story. Bossy Pants by Tina Fey is about her succeeding in a field as a leader in that field that's dominated by men. All good reasons. Now, on the flip side, I have read, because it was for a book club, I have read Neil Patrick Harris's memoir. I don't remember what it's called. It was well written. It was funny, but the only reason it was written is because he's famous. He had nothing to say. Nothing whatsoever to say. And there are a lot of them like that. And that's why I prefer the average Joe ones, because unless they have something to say, there's no point in reading them. Question 3, complete correspondence or selected letters. This is hard because I don't have a lot of experience in this. I'm going to say selected letters because I'm sure there's just stuff we don't need to read. It's just like, you don't need, it has no bearing on anything. But again, I haven't read a lot of letter collections, so I can't really talk to that one. So I can only go on what I think it would be. Okay, question 4, memoirs written when the events are fresh or memoirs written with hindsight? So it depends. This is kind of how I see memoirs. I see memoirs of the person who's writing the memoir looking out a window and seeing their story. You want a memoir written by someone who's standing by a big, huge window so they can see a lot of things, right? And that's great. But then there's also people, who are writing memoirs where they're looking through a peephole. Now, I have not read Spare because I have read enough about Spare and seen kind of what's going on. That is a book about someone who should not be, great, write your story as therapy. Go ahead, but you are not ready to put that out into the world. No. He clearly, from everything that I read about it, which is why I have not read it, although I do have an audiobook of it, was not at a point where he should be writing a book, because he can't see that full view that someone standing in front of a big metaphorical window could see. So because of that, I do think it's easier with hindsight to have the big clear window. I don't think that's absolutely necessary, but I just think it would be easier that way for a writer to have that kind of insight into the events that they're writing about, if there was a little more time between the events and writing about it. 5, gossipy biographies or scholarly biographies. Don't actually like either. I get kind of bored with the gossipy stuff, but the scholarly can be really hard to read. It reminds me of being in school when I had to read a bunch of them. I like the memoirs and the biographies that feel like I'm reading a novel, that are written in that way. They're not trying, that go that way. So that's kind of somewhere in the middle. I also kind of, as far as gossipy go, that's very one-sided. And I don't feel comfortable with that. But then again, scholarly, I don't need to wade through a bazillion pages of footnotes. I want something that's presented well in a way for everybody to access. Number 6, diaries of an ordinary life or diaries of extraordinary events. Hard to tell. So I'm trying to think of diaries that I have read. The most recent diary I've read are Alan Rickman's diaries, which I kind of feel bad bringing into this because they weren't written for publication. They just were they were published with his partner's consent, and that's fine, but they were after his death, so they weren't written with publication in mind, although I don't know if any diaries are. But I mean, I can kind of see like diaries of an ordinary life. There's lots of diaries, and this kind of goes, I don't know, this kind of goes in the other category. But I have read diaries of people on the Oregon Trail, which is kind of an extraordinary event, but it is their day-to-day life. Let's just put it this way. My diary would be very boring. No one would want to read it. Question 7, Arty memoirs or sporting memoirs? I don't actually recall ever reading a sporting memoir, so I don't know. But I've read memoirs by writers, and I've liked them, so I guess that falls into Arty. So I guess Arty is where I would go with that one. No, that's not to say I won't read sporting memoirs. I just haven't yet. I can't think of anyone that I've read, so. Okay, question 8, gritty autobiographical writing or inspirational autobiographical writing? Ooh, that really depends on the subject matter. And what they're writing about. If you're writing about your experience, my son just turned the TV on. If you're writing about your experience in, say, a prison camp, I'm going to want the gritty stuff. But if you are writing about your experience winning some major award that you worked really hard for, I want the inspirational part. So it really depends on the subject. I'm not doing well with this tag. Everything depends on something. But yeah, I'm not against either, but it just depends on the subject. Number 9, biographies of historical figures or biographies of contemporary figures? Historical figures, but memoirs of contemporary figures. I have listened to some biographies of contemporary figures. They tend to be written by journalists, and that's fine. I think of them as journalism. I don't think of them as biographies so much. But again, if you're writing a biography, I expect it to cover someone's whole life. That's what a biography is. That is the definition of a biography. So it would have to be someone whose life is complete and therefore historical. Again, if you're writing like a short-term biography, for example, the one that pops into my mind is I listened to once a biography of Joe Biden right after he was elected. And it was not that long. It was by a journalist. And it covered his life up to now. And it was very quick and facts and great. It worked for me. It was something I enjoyed. I listened to it. I enjoyed listening to. It gave me some new information I didn't already have. But again, I didn't think of it as a biography. I thought of it as journalism. So, okay. Question 10, memoirs of happy days or memoirs of tragic days? Oh man, I don't know. I have read and enjoyed both. I think that tragic days give you more of a reason to write a memoir than happy days. But again, if it's well written and you have a reason to write it, then it's going to work either way. The bonus question, which is actually a really easy bonus question. It's probably the one thing that I'm not waffling on. Okay, bonus prompt. The complete diary of Samuel Pepys, which is over 4,000 pages or 116 hours and 16 minutes on audiobook. I would speed that up. Or selections from the Diary of Samuel Pepys, which can be as short as 120 pages or 3 hours and 55 minutes on audiobook. The selections. Now, if I were writing a paper and I was looking for original sources, like I was still in school, then yeah, I'd go for the full one, but I'm not, and I haven't been for a long time, and I don't plan on going back. So I'm going for the selection on that one because the important stuff is going to be there. And my life is too short for 116 hours on audiobook. Well, a little shorter because I'm going to speed it up, but you know what I mean. Yeah. So time to tag people, and I am going to tag 3 people. And these 3 people I know read memoirs. So I'm going to tag Caitlin at Bandy's Books, Becca at Read Becca, and Lori at Books, Ink, and Paper. And if I haven't tagged you, but you want to do this, please do it. This is a great tag, and April is going on right now. Just tag me so I can watch your video. Thank you so much. Like, subscribe, join my Discord, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.